Hello, everybody. Today, we're going to talk about how inflation destroys the economy, and it is ugly. So, let's get right into it. I put together some charts from a website called WTF Happened in 1971. Now, I'm going to hold off until the end of this to tell you what exactly happened in 1971, because I don't want to take attention away from the result of what happened in 71. So, first chart. The middle class and lower class get destroyed while the upper class thrives. Second chart. The amount of production stagnates while the volume of stock market or futures trading skyrockets. Next chart. The cumulative inflation goes sky high to 2,200%. This is the value of all currencies priced in gold. So another way to look at this is, a ounce of gold goes from $100 to $1,000. That means that your currency lost 90% of its value. Next chart. The days of the one person in the household working being enough to cover the bills ended. As you can see, both spouses started working right around 1971, went from 40% all the way up to over 60%. Next chart. In 1970, it took 2.4 years of work to save enough money to buy a house. By 2020, it took 7 years of work to save enough money to buy a house. Shares of young adults living with their parents still the highest amount ever today. 52%. More than during the Great Depression. And that is saying something. That's because the value of our money has just been destroyed to such a large degree that it's really difficult to get ahead these days. Meat consumption. So, what this chart is indicating is that before the year 1971, all meats were consumed at the same pace. They were all priced somewhat evenly, but meat got so expensive that chicken purchases went through the roof because it was the only widely affordable meat left. Now, there is a huge trend in childhood obesity as well. You can see that right here, which makes sense because, unhealthy food is cheap. It's as simple as that. Healthy food is expensive. Interesting. What would make the number of lawyers in the population go up in such a difficult time? Aha, this has to be it. The number of divorces also went up during that time. Oh, and look at that. The number of incarcerations also went up during that time too. So I think these are pretty self-explanatory. When you are struggling financially to get ahead or maintain what you have as a married couple, I imagine that things are infinitely more stressful. And when you're in a situation where you're in the lower class and even in an inner city community, I would think that you're forced to go further and further out onto the risk curve, to use a financial term. that term is used to describe when people have to take a bigger risk to get ahead or to maintain or stay close to what other people have. You could say the same thing for crime. People are in what feels like such a bad situation that they are forced to go as far out in the risk curve as they could think of. And it's unfortunate that inflation has had that impact on our society. It's very unfair. Next, the education. So, spending has stayed strong. The number of increased staff has kept up with spending, but for some reason, all the scores are either stagnant or even going down. Percentage of children born to unwed women, that also skyrocketed in 1970. Children born per woman went from 5 to 2.5 during this time. Inflation in the healthcare industry. So, as you can see here, national healthcare expenditures skyrocketed since 1970, going up at a much, much faster rate than the U.S. population. And the disparity between the increase in physicians versus hospital administrators. Now, this is something I've been meaning to look into more because I do find it interesting, the financial workings of the healthcare world. But I gotta be honest, I haven't went down the healthcare rabbit hole yet when in connection to finance. So I would love it if anybody who's watching might know more about this than I do and can possibly elaborate in the comment section so I could talk about it in a future video. But yeah, it seems like just like everything else, healthcare was poorly affected by the route the economy took after 1970. It looks like there's a much bigger focus on trying to make hospitals profitable than trying to, I guess, fill them with physicians. Because with the little amount that I know about this, it seems that administrators are more focused on the business part of things. So, but again, yeah, if anybody watching knows more about that, I would love to hear about it. All right, so like I promised, what happened in 1971? In 1971, President Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard, and it sucks. It's really a double-edged sword. Because obviously that wreaked havoc on the economy, and you could see that through these charts, but it was necessary too, because just by nature an economy has to constantly be growing, and when we're only allowed to issue as much currency as there is, like in an equal way, when we're constrained to only issuing as much currency as there is gold, then our economy is therefore limited in how much it can grow. So, like building projects, infrastructure, stuff like welfare, or even Social Security, all that stuff. You can't have a fixed amount of currency. You have to have an expanding, elastic currency economic system for that. So it's really a paradox, and it's something that's debated every day, what the right answer to that is, and that's something I'll get into in the future. Definitely much too long of a conversation for the length I'm trying to make this video. But yeah, so let me know if that was clear at all, everything that I said, if that was clear at all, or if I just was rambling too much. Yeah, don't hold back. Let me know what you think, good or bad, whatever. Just trying to improve, and I appreciate you watching. So, like, subscribe, comment. I'll see you later, and thank you very much.